This is Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details. Here are your hosts, Joe, Matt, and Chris.
The Denver Broncos are visiting Buffalo. It is going to be a cold game. This is probably going to have snow. Denver plays up in the mile high. They are no stranger to cold. They are no stranger to snow. Bo Nix is behind a great offense. It's very well balanced. They run a lot of their pass plays out of shotgun, and they have a very low quarterback pressure in those snaps with 25.4% quarterback pressure rate for the offensive line. So they protect him well. They have a very balanced offense. They run and pass very well. And then you look at the Buffalo Bills, and there's only one name that needs to be mentioned, and that is Josh Allen. He has done it with Stephon Diggs, and now he's done it without him, proving that he is one of, if not, the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now. Granted, there is an argument for that with Patrick Mahomes, but that is not what this video is about. This is wild card weekend, baby. This is wild card weekend, and we are here for the Bills-Broncos matchup, which is honestly probably the most entertaining AFC matchup this weekend. I mean, you could argue that, bar none, hands down, this is the most entertaining option because the Buffalo defense has been getting literally taken apart, all right? They have literally, against the pass, have been getting absolutely shredded. And if we've watched Bo Nix over the last couple of weeks, hell, he surprised the hell out of me, okay? That kid is flinging that ball all over the place. He's shown his mobility. He's shown his willingness to get outside the pocket, run, not take sacks, do the right thing, make the right decision, and all the credit in the world needs to be given to Sean Payton because, as Matt said, and said multiple times to me, he said, you know what? If Bo Nix could go somewhere, Sean Payton's offense is the best place for that kid, and it has absolutely showed all season. But this matchup has some key matchups inside of it that will decide this, and Matt, I know you got some killer ones for me, so what are the key matchups in this game that could decide it for either team?
Joe, I don't have the key matchups. I have the key matchup. This is going to decide the game, Joe. What I'm about to tell you is going to decide the game, and it's strength on strength right here. It's the Denver pass rush against Josh Allen and the offensive line of the Buffalo Bills. Because listen up, Denver, most sacks in the NFL this season, 63 sacks. We saw a Nick Bonito breakout. He's got to be in the argument for Defensive Player of the Year. 13.5 sacks. Jonathan Cooper, 10.5 sacks. And then a couple other guys. But I think there was at least 3 or 4 other guys between 5 and 8.5 sacks. So they have a very, very deep pass rush for the Denver Broncos, and they are going to need it because Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills offense, fewest sacks allowed in the NFL, 14 sacks all year for the Buffalo Bills offense. That's far and away number one in the NFL as far as the fewest sacks allowed by an offense in the NFL. Buffalo, just 14 sacks. That's amazing. So listen, if Denver can get to Josh Allen, it might be a long day for the Buffalo Bills. And Denver has gotten to a lot of other teams. Plus, if Denver can get to Josh Allen, that means you got Riley Moss outside. Obviously, you got Pat Surtain outside working against those receivers. And if they can do that, again, this Denver defense is one of the best. This is a top 5 defense in the NFL, but by basically any metric. So if Denver can get after Josh Allen and make life rough for him, we've seen Josh Allen, not this year, but in previous years and in the playoffs, make a bunch of big mistakes. He'll try to make a big play and he'll make a big mistake. So again, if they can get after Josh Allen, this is going to be a very, very long day for Buffalo. But to be fair to Josh Allen, even if they do get after Josh Allen, a lot of Josh Allen's biggest plays are on scrambles, are rolling left, or rolling right, or rolling right, or just getting out of the pocket, getting 15 yards on third down. So again, it's not always going to be a winning prophecy if you get after Josh Allen because he's so good at escaping the pocket. So, but at the end of the day, this is going to be the matchup of the game. Can this elite Denver Broncos pass rush get after the elite the preventing pass rush unit of Josh Allen and this Bills offensive line? So this is the matchup that's going to decide the game to me.
And it's 100% correct. I just talked up how great Josh Allen has been all year, and he's shown that he is probably winning the MVP and probably deserves it because when you look at what he has on that team, it's barren. I mean, no one's going to tell me that James Cook's a top 10 running back in the league. I don't buy it. All right. I don't think he is. He might be close. I'd say he's definitely top 12, top 15. I could make that argument for him, but he's not I don't think he's a top 10 guy. Josh Allen has absolutely elevated everyone on this team, bar none, hands down. This is on the level of like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Okay. The amount of elevation of talent around him. You could make that argument today. No doubt about it. But there is a game that definitely showed a way to slow down Josh Allen, and it's a team that knows him very well. And it happened a couple of weeks ago against a 3-12 Patriots team going up against a Josh Allen-led Bills team that was still in contention and ended up winning this game, but for the 1 seed at the time. And Josh Allen had a very, very low completion percentage, going 16 of 29. He only threw for 154 yards with 1 TD and 1 pick and a QBR of 28. And he only went for 30 yards and no touchdowns. So they showed how to bottle that up. And Denver's defense, significantly better than what anything the Patriots could put out there at any position. You line them up, just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit, Matt. So I think that if the Denver Broncos use that blueprint, that is a key matchup, Matt. And I can't agree with you more. That is a great key matchup for that. But Chris, who could be the X factor in this game? The one player that can just decide it on his own. And one pops to my mind, and I'm sure one pops to yours, but are we thinking of the same guy?
I don't know. We might. It depends on which team you're picking. But quite honestly, my X factor, I would have to say probably it's going to be both, more than likely. It is quarterback, and it's Bo Nix. That was my X factor. Because one thing I look at the Broncos. It's kind of how I kind of cleared it up. It's the Broncos defense is better than the Bills defense. Sure. And the Bills offense is better than the Broncos offense. So when you start looking at that, I think it breaks it down to what can Bo Nix do? Because what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to put up points. But what you're going to have to do is find a way to manage the time frame and to keep Josh Allen, which you saw the Patriots do, right? If you're managing the game correctly, which you have a great head coach that should be able to do that, you can manage the game correctly, keep the third downs going, you manage the game, and you're having long drives, which means you're leaving Allen on the sideline just watching you. That's basically your key to the matchup, is keeping him on the sidelines. And the only way to do that is for Bo Nix to have a good game, and a good game would consider that, both between your running and your passing, which we've seen him throw the ball down the field fairly easily, which quite honestly surprised me. I didn't really expect it. I expect him to kind of be like a chuck down guy, to be honest, coming into the league. I think he has shown his ability to get it down the field. I think his wide receivers absolutely love him. They definitely have a connection there. So I can see him wanting to do it. But if you want to play it the right way and you want to give yourselves a chance, you're going to have to do it the way that everybody else hates to see, and you're going to have to manage it, which means you're going to have to take your time. Because if you're going to give Allen so many opportunities to be on that field, you're almost asking to lose. If you give Allen that ball at the end of the game, even with a minute left on the clock, and you still have the lead, you can almost guarantee you're losing that game. You can almost guarantee it, because I feel like the same thing we just talked about with Lamar Jackson. I feel like we can also have that same conversation with Allen. They are both kind of built the same way when it comes to the playoffs, and there's been a lot of conversation about how they act in the playoffs versus regular season. So I think, again, same thing we just said with Lamar Jackson, is if there was ever a time to put that to rest, to put your name known and let people know, like, hey, I'm serious and I'm planning to go to the Super Bowl this year, this is where you start. Because that defense isn't something to play with. They're 30 times better than what the Patriots defense was. And what they were able to do was ridiculous. So if that's what you're able to do, if you're able to take that blueprint and make it basically 2.0, which should be a lot better because you have a lot better team than what they were facing, that might just be something that slows them down. So for me, that is my X factor. My X factor is Bo Nix and what he's able to do and what he's able to accomplish against that defense.
I mean, and it's a perfect X factor. I mean, realistically, with how poor the Bills' pass defense has really been this season, they have not been great. They really haven't. I mean, let me look at the numbers here real quick. But I mean, just watching them against the Patriots, and one of the worst offenses in the league, one of the worst offensive skill positions in the league, all of those things, they have not been good. In fact, I mean, their EPA per pass is a 0.
Yeah.
So they like exactly what you expect from the pass play is exactly what you're going to get. So if you expect a 30-yard touchdown from this pass play, you're probably getting a 30-yard touchdown from this pass play. Yeah. That's just how it works, right? And you think about how some of the wide receivers have played for the Denver Broncos. I mean, Cortland Sutton has been balling this season, absolutely showing that he could step into the shoes, be healthy, that were left by Jerry Jeudy and some of the things that have followed in that Denver Broncos. And then probably the biggest surprise out of all the wide receivers that are putting on a Broncos uniform this weekend has been Marvin Mims. I mean, the guy has been absolutely dominant over the last couple of weeks of football. And I believe that he could actually be his own X factor in general, because that man is just, if catching a cold was like catching touchdowns, that guy would be sick all the time. All right. Like, I'm not even joking. It is wow. But I'm going to go to Matt on this one first. What is your prediction for, like we said, probably the most entertaining, watch-worthy AFC wildcard game of the weekend?
Yeah, man, this is a really entertaining game because, like I talked about with the key matchups, I mean, we're getting a strength on strength. We're getting the Buffalo Bills offense, who scored, a ton of touchdowns this season, against the Denver Broncos defense, who was one of the best in the NFL this season. And obviously, we get Bo Nix versus Josh Allen, who before the season, if you would have said Bo Nix versus Josh Allen, you probably would have thought it was a lot more lopsided than it actually is. Obviously, Josh Allen is far better, but Bo Nix had a hell of a rookie season, ladies and gentlemen. I thought it was going to happen. I thought he was going to be a great fit with Sean Payton, and it turned out that was the case, and they fit really well together. Bo Nix was a great fit for that scheme, and I think, they're going to keep building after this year as well. But listen, I like the Broncos. I like their defense. I think they're going to slow down the Bills' offense enough to keep it close, to keep them competing. But Josh Allen's on a mission, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Allen is just on a different level right now. And for as well as I just said Bo Nix has played, he ain't the MVP. That's Josh Allen. So for all you guys saying that it's Lamar Jackson, it's not. It's Josh Allen. Look at what Josh Allen, like Joe said, look at what Josh Allen's had to work with this year, man. Josh Allen has done his thing with guys who you would not expect him to do his thing with, and I think he's just going to keep that regular season momentum going here into the postseason. So I do think it's going to be relatively close. I think it's going to be Bills 26-17, but and they're going to move on to the divisional round. But with the Broncos losing this, like this is a win-win game for the Broncos this year. Like, there's no losing right now for this season for the Broncos. It's already success. Their win-loss total was set at 5.5 preseason. So the fact that they've already exceeded that, they went to the playoffs with their rookie quarterback with Sean Payton. Very successful season. It's just happened to run into Josh Allen in the first round, and they're going to get eliminated. So Bills are going to win it. It'll be relatively close, but I think Bills take it 26-17.
And it's not a bad guess. I mean, there's a lot going on in this game. A lot of things can happen. And, it really could be a shootout. I don't know if this could be one of those games that both teams go over 30. I really believe that. Before I get into my prediction, I'm saving myself for last on this one. I'm going to go to Chris. Chris, how do you see this matchup really playing out, and who do you pick to win Bills Broncos wildcard weekend?
It's probably, I think you said it best when you first started. I think out of all the AFC matchups, I think this is probably by far the best for the wild card, just because I think it's going to be more competitive than the other two that we've already spoken about. And I agree with Matt. I think I've already said it in the past. I do believe that Josh Allen should be the MVP, because when you start looking at the MVP conversation, what is an MVP? It's the most valuable player, which means without that player, it does not work. Yes, Lamar Jackson is amazing, but it's not what QB has the best stats. It's what QB means the most. Basically, we know it's a QB type of game now. We know this. Is the best person on their team. Without him, you cannot function. Without Josh Allen, they cannot function. I don't care who else you have a quarterback. You don't have him, it's not going to work. So that being said, he absolutely should be MVP. No questions asked. But so we were talking about this specific matchup. I do think it is going to be a lot closer than maybe what a lot of people are thinking it could be. So if the Denver Broncos show up, their defense shows up, I obviously we've already talked about how they can win and how they can make it a close game. I'm not taking the Broncos to win this game. I'm not taking it all. As y'all already said, the Bills are on a mission. Josh Allen is on a mission. He has one thing on his mind. His one thing on his mind is getting to the Super Bowl, which he absolutely deserves. I hope that he gets there. So I am going to take the Bills, and I'm going to take them on a 27-20 matchup.
27-20. All right. So the Bills have scored at least 30 or more points in 12 of their 17 games this year. The Denver Broncos have done the same thing in a significantly less number. However, I think this game, I think that the margin of victory, what the Bills are favored by, which is 8 points, the Bills do not cover. I do not think the Bills cover the 8 points in this game. I think this game is a one-score game. I think it is probably going to be 7 or less, and I'm going to call it 34-27 Bills. Unfortunately, I wanted to say Broncos. I really did. I really wanted to say Broncos. I just don't get me wrong. I think that there's a coach out there that can really pull anything out of his ass and make something happen. It's Sean Payton. We've seen it. You don't forget when this man faced the Colts in the Super Bowl when he was head coach of the Saints. He did a opening half onside kick. Granted, you can't sneak onside kicks anymore, but no one expected them to come out of halftime with an onside kick, all right? It blew people's minds, and, he's already had his punter throw a pass this season, so we know that he's okay with going forward on 4th down with his punter throwing a pass. We know that he's had Cortland Sutton throw a pass this season, or 2 passes this season, actually, and for one of those go for a touchdown. They are very good in the fourth quarter. They scored 9 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone. The Buffalo Bills defense has allowed 9 touchdowns in the fourth quarter this season, so they are basically very, very key on doing that. And it's going to come down to a turnover, which I'm going to go with the least experienced quarterback in the game to make the critical turnover at the critical point in time to decide the game. And I think that's Bo Nix. I think they're going to have a shot to win this game. And Bo Nix is going to make a rookie mistake. And that's where it's going to come from. He has had a couple this season, although those were earlier in the year. He has looked a lot better this far into the season. But I think that's what happens. First playoff game for Bo Nix ends in a game-sealing win.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.